I set down my glass of champagne and smiled politely as my cousin Derek continued his monologue about his latest promotion at the tech firm. Christmas Eve at my parents' house in suburban Chicago had become an annual reminder of why I'd moved to New York 5 years ago. "Emma, sweetheart, are you still working at that Italian place?" my Aunt Linda asked, her voice carrying that particular tone of concern that wasn't actually concern at all. "I work in restaurants, yes," I said simply, reaching for a piece of cheese from the appetizer spread. "How nice," my mother said in a voice that suggested it was anything but. "Though I do wish you'd consider something more stable. Your sister Jennifer just made junior partner at her accounting firm." Jennifer beamed from across the room, raising her wine glass in a self-congratulatory toast. "5 years of hard work, but totally worth it. The salary is incredible." "That's what real ambition looks like," my father said, gesturing toward Jennifer with obvious pride. "Strategic career planning. Upward mobility." Derek leaned back in his chair, looking at me with barely concealed pity. "Emma, how long have you been waiting tables now?" "For years." "5 years in the restaurant industry," I corrected gently. Right. And you're what, 28 now? Don't you think it's time to consider a real career? Maybe go back to school? Jennifer could probably get you an interview at her firm. They're always looking for administrative assistants." "I'm 29 and I'm happy with my work." My Uncle Paul laughed, the sound sharp and dismissive. "Happy doesn't pay the bills, kid. What are you making minimum wage plus tips? Living with roommates in some shoebox apartment." "I do quite well, actually." "Come on," Derek pressed. "Be honest. You're barely scraping by, right? That's the restaurant life. Long hours, terrible pay, no benefits. You're running around serving other people while they enjoy their lives." My younger brother Alex, fresh out of business school, chimed in. "Derek's got a point, Em. The service industry is a dead end. You should leverage your degree. You went to culinary school, right? Maybe you could do something with that. Food photography? Recipe development for a corporation?" "I use my culinary degree every day," I said. Sure. Making pasta and carrying plates." My father sighed heavily. "Emma, when are you going to accept that this restaurant dream isn't working out? Your mother and I didn't pay for culinary school so you could be a career waitress." "I'm not a..." "It's nothing to be ashamed of," Aunt Linda interrupted. "Service work is honest work. Someone has to do it. Not everyone can be high achievers like Derek and Jennifer." "Exactly," my mother agreed. "We're not disappointed, Emma. We've just adjusted our expectations." Derek's girlfriend Madison, who I'd met exactly once before tonight, decided to contribute. "You know what's really sad? My little sister works as a server while she's in college and she makes pretty good money. But she's 19. She's got time to figure out her real career. Emma, you're almost 30. Don't you feel like you've wasted your 20s? The room went quiet for a moment, everyone looking at me with varying expressions of pity and concern. "The restaurant industry can be very demanding," I said carefully. "Demanding?" Uncle Paul scoffed. "Try working in corporate law like Jennifer. Now that's demanding. Serving food? That's just physically tiring." "Have you at least moved up to head waitress or something?" my mother asked hopefully. "Some kind of management position?" "I do have management responsibilities." "Oh, good." She looked genuinely relieved. "So you're managing the other servers? That's something. Maybe there's hope for advancement after all." Jennifer set down her wine glass. "Emma, I'm going to be blunt because I care about you. You're running out of time. Your biological clock is ticking. No successful man wants to marry a waitress approaching 30. You need to get serious about your future." "Jennifer," my father said, but not in disagreement. More like she'd said the quiet part too loud. Alex pulled out his phone. "I'm actually connected to a few recruiters on LinkedIn. Corporate dining services, food service management, that kind of thing. Want me to send you some entry-level positions? The pay would be way better than tips and you'd have actual career progression." "That's thoughtful, but..." "You should take him up on that," Derek interrupted. "At your age, with your limited professional experience, you can't afford to be picky. Entry-level at 29 is already behind the curve, but at least it's something." My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. "What about that boyfriend you mentioned last year?" Aunt Linda asked. "The chef? Is that still going anywhere?" "We're not together anymore." Of course not, Madison muttered. 2 restaurant workers? That's a recipe for poverty. Madison. Derek laughed but didn't actually correct her. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Emma, you seem nice but you've got to be realistic. Working in restaurants at your age? It screams lack of ambition. Successful people don't date people in service jobs. They just don't. My mother looked genuinely distressed. Emma, honey, we're worried about you. Living in New York, working these long hours for barely any money, no real prospects. Don't you want more for yourself? I have more. She doesn't see it, Uncle Paul said, shaking his head. That's the problem with the service industry. It becomes your whole world. You lose perspective. You start thinking carrying plates is a career. Jennifer leaned forward, her expression sympathetic in a way that was somehow worse than Derek's contempt. I'm going to give you some tough love. You graduated with honors from culinary school. You could have done something real with that degree. Corporate recipe development, restaurant consulting, food science. But instead you're literally doing what high school dropouts do. Don't you see how much potential you've wasted? My work is very fulfilling, I said quietly. Fulfilling doesn't matter if you're broke, Alex said. That's the difference between you and me. I chose business school because I understood that passion doesn't pay rent. You chose to follow some dream and look where it got you. Derek stood up to refill his drink. Remember when we were kids and Emma used to say she'd be a famous chef? That she'd have her own restaurant? God, we all believed it. But reality hits hard, doesn't it? Derek, don't be cruel, Aunt Linda said, but she was smiling. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. The restaurant industry is brutal. Most restaurants fail within a year. The odds of actually becoming successful, like really successful, are astronomically low. Emma did the smart thing by just getting a serving job. At least she's working. My phone buzzed again. Priority alert. I pulled it out briefly to check. Oh, come on, Jennifer said. You're seriously checking your phone right now? During Christmas Eve dinner? What could possibly be so important? Did someone order extra breadsticks? I need to check something. This is exactly what I mean, my father said. No work-life balance. Restaurants own you. You're probably getting called in to cover someone's shift on Christmas Eve. That's no way to live, Emma. I stood up. Excuse me for a moment. Let her go, Uncle Paul said. Probably her manager demanding she come in. Poor kid can't even say no. I walked into my father's study and closed the door. 3 missed calls from my executive producer and 2 texts from my publicist. I called back immediately. Emma, thank God, Marcus said. His voice carried that particular urgency that meant something had gone wrong. We have a situation with tonight's broadcast. What kind of situation? Chef Ramsay's flight is delayed. Weather in London. He's not going to make it in time for the live finale taping. We need you there in 90 minutes. I processed this quickly. What about Chef Morimoto? Already at the studio. But we need both celebrity judges and you're our backup. Emma, I know it's Christmas Eve and you're with family, but we're talking about the season finale. 15 million viewers. We can't postpone and we can't do it with just one celebrity judge. Where's the taping? Studio 8H. Rockefeller Center. We've got a car that can be at your location in 20 minutes. I looked at my watch. My parents' house was 40 minutes from the city without traffic. Christmas Eve traffic would be lighter, but still. Make it 15 minutes. I'll be ready. You're a lifesaver. Emma, this is huge. The finale live broadcast, you'll be front and center. Are you prepared for that? Marcus, I've done 17 episodes this season. I'm prepared. Right. Of course. Car will be there in 15. We'll have your wardrobe ready when you arrive. I hung up and stood there for a moment, listening to my family's laughter filtering through the door. I could hear Derek telling some story about his latest tech acquisition. I walked back to the living room. Everyone looked up. I have to go, I said simply. Go. My mother's face fell. Emma, it's Christmas Eve. We haven't even had dinner yet. I know. I'm sorry. Work emergency. Derek laughed. A restaurant emergency? What, they ran out of marinara sauce? Something like that. This is ridiculous, my father said, his voice rising. You're seriously leaving Christmas Eve dinner to go serve tables? Emma, this has to stop. You can't let these people walk all over you. They're not. Yes, they are. Jennifer interrupted. This is what happens when you're in a powerless position. They call you jump. No agency, no control over your own life. Emma, please just quit. This job is destroying you. I'm not going to quit. Then at least stand up for yourself, my mother pleaded. Tell them no. It's Christmas Eve. I picked up my coat. I really do have to go. I'll call tomorrow. This is so typical, Alex said. Classic service industry exploitation. They know you need the tips so they can make you work holidays. You deserve better than this. The doorbell rang. My car right on time. That was fast, Derek said suspiciously. What kind of restaurant sends a car service for a waitress? I should go. Emma, please, my mother said, and she actually looked close to tears. Just this once. Stay. Tell them you can't make it. Choose your family. I am choosing my family, I said quietly. I'm choosing the career I've built. The work I love. I'm sorry I can't stay, but this is important. More important than us? My father asked. I didn't answer. I just walked to the door. Behind me I heard Uncle Paul say, let her go. Maybe she'll finally realize what she's throwing away. The car was a black sedan, professional and discreet. The driver opened the door and I slid into the back seat. As we pulled away, I could see my family gathered at the window watching me leave. My phone rang. Marcus again. Emma, wardrobe wants to confirm. Are we going with the Armani or the custom Versace? The Versace. It photographs better under studio lights. Perfect. Hair and makeup will be standing by. We're doing a live pre-show interview at 7:30, then the actual competition starts at 8. Chef Morimoto is reviewing the challenge parameters now. What's the final challenge? 3-course meal, 90 minutes, mystery ingredients. Classic MasterChef format. The contestants are terrified. They know you don't accept anything less than perfection. I smiled slightly. That's why they invited me to judge. Exactly. Emma, I've got to say, having you on this season has been incredible. The ratings are up 30% from last year. People love the fact that you're tough but fair. And when you gave that contestant the standing ovation in episode 12, social media exploded. She earned it. That beef Wellington was flawless. Well, tonight's going to be even bigger. Season finale live broadcast, and now you're not just a guest judge, you're the celebrity judge. Your name above the title. This is huge for your brand. Let's just focus on finding the best chef. We hit traffic approaching the city. I checked my email, messages from 3 of my restaurant managers with evening service updates, a note from my publicist about tomorrow's interview with Food and Wine magazine, and a reminder about next week's James Beard Foundation dinner where I was receiving an award. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. I hope you realize what you're throwing away for a minimum wage job. We were trying to help you. I didn't respond. The car pulled up to Rockefeller Center at exactly 6:47 p.m. Security was waiting. Chef Chin, the guard said, checking my ID against his list. You're cleared for Studio 8H. They're expecting you. I walked through the corridors of 30 Rock, past the Saturday Night Live studios, past the offices where television history had been made for decades. These halls were familiar now. I'd been here 17 times this season, plus previous guest appearances on morning shows and late-night programs. Marcus met me at the studio entrance. Emma, you're a vision. Come on, hair and makeup are standing by and we need to get you into wardrobe. Chef Morimoto is in his dressing room. He's thrilled you're here, says you're the only judge who really understands contemporary fusion cuisine. Where are the contestants? Green room. They're nervous. They've been watching your episodes. They know your standards. I smiled. Good. They should be nervous. Hair and makeup took 30 minutes. The Versace dress, a custom piece in midnight blue with strategic crystal detailing, fit perfectly. My stylist, Christina, stepped back and nodded approvingly. You look like exactly what you are, she said. A culinary powerhouse. Those contestants are going to lose their minds when you walk out. That's not the goal. No, but it's a nice bonus. She adjusted a final strand of hair. Emma, can I just say, watching your career explode this year has been incredible. From that New York Times profile to the Michelin stars to this show. You're living proof that hard work and talent win. And a lot of luck. Luck? Emma, you own 7 restaurants. 7. All of them successful, most of them with Michelin recognition. That's not luck. That's genius. There was a knock on the door. One of the production assistants poked his head in. Chef Chen, we need you for the pre-show interview in 5 minutes. I'll be right there. Marcus appeared at my elbow as I walked toward the set. Okay, so the interview is with Sarah Mitchell from Culinary Today. She's going to ask about your restaurants, your judging philosophy, and probably about the rumors of your Las Vegas expansion. Standard stuff. Then at 8 we go live with the competition. Are the mystery ingredients challenging enough? Emma, they're brutal. We've got white truffle, live spot prawns, A5 Wagyu and golden berries. Plus the standard pantry. 90 minutes to create 3 courses that will impress you and Chef Morimoto. The contestants have been preparing for weeks, but nothing can really prepare you for cooking under your scrutiny. I stepped onto the pre-show set. Sarah Mitchell stood up, smiling warmly. Chef Chen, thank you so much for joining us on such short notice. Happy to be here, Sarah. I have to ask, Christmas Eve season finale live broadcast. Are you nervous? Excited, not nervous. This is what I love, finding extraordinary talent and helping to shape the next generation of chefs. Let's talk about your own career for a moment. 5 years ago you graduated from culinary school. Today you own 7 restaurants across New York and Boston. You've earned a total of 9 Michelin stars across your properties, and you're one of the youngest chefs to ever achieve 3-star status. What's the secret? There's no secret. Just relentless standards and constant innovation. I don't accept mediocrity in my kitchens, and I don't accept it from myself. Your flagship restaurant, Lunar, has been called the most difficult reservation in New York. There's a 6-month wait list. People are offering thousands of dollars for tables. How does that feel? Humbling, but also validating. We work incredibly hard to deliver an experience that justifies that demand. And now, as a judge on MasterChef, you've brought that same exacting standard to television. Contestants have said you're tougher than Gordon Ramsay. I smiled. I'm fair, but I have high expectations. If you're going to call yourself a chef, you need to earn that title. The interview continued for 20 minutes. Sarah asked about my upcoming projects. The Las Vegas expansion, my cookbook deal, the culinary academy I was planning to open. She asked about my philosophy, my training, my influences. And then it was time. The live broadcast began at exactly 8 o'clock. I walked onto the MasterChef set alongside Chef Morimoto, and the studio audience erupted in applause. The stage was spectacular. Professional kitchens for each of the 3 finalists, dramatic lighting, massive screens showing close-ups of every technique. The host, James Morrison, welcomed the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we crown America's next MasterChef. And to judge our finalists, we have 2 of the most respected names in culinary excellence. Please welcome Iron Chef Masaharu Morimoto. Applause. And the youngest chef in America to earn 3 Michelin stars, owner of the acclaimed Lunar restaurant empire, Chef Emma Chen. The applause was deafening. Camera lights blazed. I smiled and waved, then took my seat at the judges' table. Chef Chen, James said, you've become known this season for your incredibly high standards. What are you looking for tonight? Perfection, I said simply. Technical excellence, creative innovation, and the courage to take risks. These 3 finalists have earned their place here. Now they need to prove they deserve the title. Back in Chicago, my family had finished dinner. They'd moved to the living room where someone had turned on the television. What are we watching? My mother asked. MasterChef, Derek said. Season finale. Madison loves this show. The TV showed the MasterChef set in all its glory. The cameras panned across the judges' table. Oh my God, Jennifer said. That's Emma. Everyone's heads snapped toward the screen. What? My father said. That's Emma, Jennifer repeated, pointing. Right there. At the judges' table. Don't be ridiculous, my mother said. Emma's at work. She's. And then James Morrison said it. Please welcome Iron Chef Masaharu Morimoto and the youngest chef in America to earn 3 Michelin stars, owner of the acclaimed Lunar restaurant empire, Chef Emma Chen. The room went absolutely silent. On screen, I was speaking about the challenge parameters, explaining what I expected from the contestants. The camera loved me. The Versace dress, the professional hair and makeup, The absolute confidence of someone who belonged exactly where they were. Michelin stars? My mother whispered. Restaurant empire? Uncle Paul said faintly. Derek had pulled out his phone, frantically typing. Oh my God. Oh my God. The wait list is 6 months. People pay thousands for reservations. She owns it. Emma owns it. She can't own it, my father said. She's a waitress. Dad, Alex said, his voice strange. Look at this. He turned his phone around, showing a New York Times article. The headline read, Emma Chin, the prodigy redefining fine dining. Jennifer was scrolling through her own phone. She has 7 restaurants. 7. All rated. Most with Michelin stars. Her flagship Lunar has 3 stars. 3. Do you know how rare that is? On screen, the competition had begun. The contestants were working frantically while I walked between their stations, observing, occasionally asking questions. My commentary was sharp, insightful, demanding. She's been doing this all season, Madison said, showing Derek her phone. 17 episodes. She's been one of the celebrity judges for the entire season. But she said she worked at a restaurant. My mother protested weakly. She said she worked in restaurants, Alex corrected. She never said she was a server. We assumed. Derek's face had gone pale. I told her she should be ashamed. That she was wasting her potential. Oh God. I told Emma Chin, a 3 Michelin star chef, that she should get an entry-level corporate job. I said she was running out of time to find a husband, Jennifer said, her voice hollow. I said no successful man would want to marry a waitress. Imagine. Who owns a restaurant empire. Uncle Paul was reading from his phone. She's worth an estimated $42 million. Her restaurants generate over $70 million in annual revenue. She's been featured in every major culinary publication. She won the James Beard Award last year. James Beard, my father repeated. It's like the Oscar of the food world, Alex explained. Dad, Emma's not just successful. She's one of the most successful chefs in America. At 29. On screen, I was critiquing one contestant's sauce technique. The emulsion is breaking. You can't rush a béarnaise. Start over and this time control your heat. The contestant looked terrified but nodded, frantically beginning again. She's terrifying, Madison said with something like awe. But look how good the food is when they follow her instructions. She's not being mean, she's teaching them. I told her to take Alex's help finding an entry-level position, my mother said, pressing her hand to her mouth. An entry-level position. I told Emma that. Jennifer had found another article. Listen to this. Chen's approach to modern cuisine has revolutionized the New York dining scene. Her innovative fusion of traditional techniques with molecular gastronomy has created an entirely new category of fine dining. At 29, she's accomplished what most chefs never achieve in a lifetime. And we called her a waitress, Derek said. We mocked her. I said she'd wasted her 20s. I told her she was throwing her life away for a minimum wage job, Aunt Linda added quietly. On television, the 90 minutes had ended. The contestants presented their dishes. I tasted each one carefully, my face revealing nothing until I was ready to speak. This beef is undercooked. I said to the first contestant. You rushed it. The flavors are there. The truffle reduction is inspired. But you sacrifice technique for speed. That's unacceptable at this level. The contestant looked devastated. The second contestant's dishes were better. Your spot prawns are perfectly executed. The texture is ideal, the seasoning is balanced. But your plating is timid. You have the technical skill, now you need the courage to be bold. The third contestant's meal was exceptional. I tasted each course, taking my time. Finally, I set down my fork and looked directly at her. This, I said quietly, is the work of a true chef. Your wagyu preparation shows deep understanding of the protein. Your golden berry reduction is innovative without being gimmicky. And this dessert. I took another bite. This dessert is art. Technical mastery, creative vision, and the confidence to trust your instincts. This is what I've been waiting to see all season. I stood up from the judges' table, and then I started applauding. Chef Morimoto joined me, then James Morrison, then the entire studio audience. The contestant burst into tears. A standing ovation from Chef Emma Chin. James said, his voice full of emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've found our master chef. Back in Chicago, my family was still staring at the television in shocked silence. She stood up and applauded, Jennifer whispered. Emma gave someone a standing ovation. On national television. The show continued with the final judging, the deliberation, the announcement of the winner. Throughout it all, I was poised, professional, articulate. When the winner was announced, the third contestant whose meal had earned the standing ovation, I shook her hand and told her I'd be honored to have her work in one of my kitchens. Any of my restaurants would be lucky to have a chef of your caliber, I said. Call me next week. Let's discuss your future. The show ended with shots of me and Chef Morimoto congratulating the winner, the credits rolling over images from the season. Derek was the first to speak. We need to call her. Right now. We need to apologize. And say what? Alex asked. Sorry we spent 5 years treating you like a failure when you were actually building a restaurant empire? I told her she had no ambition, Uncle Paul said. I said she lacked vision. Imogen, who turned culinary school into a $42 million business before turning 30. My mother was crying. She tried to tell us. She said she had management responsibilities. He said she did well. And we didn't listen. We didn't want to listen, my father corrected. We'd already decided who she was. What she was. Nothing she could have said would have changed our minds. Jennifer put her phone down. I found an interview she did with Bon Appetit. They asked why she doesn't talk about her success much. She said, and I quote, "People who care about me know what I do. People who don't care have already made up their minds. I'd rather spend my energy on the work than on managing perceptions." That's about us, Derek said. She's talking about us. Of course she is, Alex said. We spent every family gathering tearing her down. And instead of defending herself, she just kept building, kept succeeding. While we criticized her for being a waitress, she was earning Michelin stars. The room fell silent again. Finally, my mother picked up her phone. I'm calling her. She's probably still at the studio, Jennifer said. That was a live broadcast. She'll have post-show obligations, press interviews, probably dinner with the network executives. Then I'll leave a message. My mother dialed, waited. When the voicemail picked up, her voice shook. Emma's mom. We saw the show. We saw you. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. We're all so sorry. Please call us back. Please. We need to talk to you. We need to. She trailed off and hung up. She won't call back tonight, Alex said. Would you? No one answered. I didn't call back that night. Or the next day. I was busy with post-show press, with meetings about the Las Vegas expansion, with the endless responsibilities of running 7 restaurants during the holiday season. But 3 days later I drove back to Chicago. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I just showed up at my parents' house on a cold December afternoon and rang the doorbell. My mother opened the door. Her face crumpled when she saw me. Emma. Hi, Mom. Come in. Please. Everyone's here. We've all been hoping you'd call. The whole family was gathered in the living room. They all stood up when I walked in, looking uncomfortable and ashamed. Emma, my father started. We owe you the most profound apology of our lives, Uncle Paul finished. What we said to you on Christmas Eve was inexcusable. I sat down on the couch. What you said on Christmas Eve was what you've been saying for 5 years. The only difference was that this time, you found out you were wrong. We were always wrong, Jennifer said quietly. We were wrong from the beginning. Emma, I read everything I could find about you over the past 3 days. You graduated top of your class from culinary school. You worked under Thomas Keller for 6 months. You opened your first restaurant when you were 24, and it earned a Michelin star within 8 months. You've been building this incredible career the entire time we thought you were just serving tables. I never said I was serving tables. No, Derek agreed. We said that. And you let us believe it. Why? I looked around the room at my family, at the people who'd spent years dismissing me, mocking me, pitying me. Because nothing I said was going to change your minds. You decided I was a failure and you needed me to be a failure. So I let you believe what you wanted to believe. And I focused on my work. But you could have told us, my mother said. You could have shown us your restaurants, your awards, your success. Would you have believed me? If I'd told you 5 years ago that I was opening a restaurant, what would you have said? Silence. You would have told me I was being unrealistic, I continued. That most restaurants fail. That I should get a safe job. That I was wasting my potential. So I just stopped sharing. I did the work. And I let you think whatever you wanted. That must have been so lonely, Jennifer said softly. Sometimes. But also freeing. I didn't have to justify my choices or defend my decisions. I could just focus on becoming the chef I wanted to be. Alex leaned forward. Emma, for what it's worth, what you've built is extraordinary. 7 restaurants. 9 Michelin stars. The Lunar is legendary. And you're only 29. That's not just success, that's genius. It's hard work and good timing, I said. And yes, maybe some talent. But mostly it's just refusing to accept anything less than excellence. Which is why you're so demanding as a judge, Derek said. We watched more episodes. You're tough but you're fair. And when someone earns your approval, it clearly means everything to them. Because I know what it takes, I said simply. I know the work, the sacrifice, the endless hours of practice and refinement. When someone achieves real excellence in that environment, they deserve recognition. My father cleared his throat. Emma, I spent your entire childhood pushing you toward medicine. I wanted you to follow in my footsteps. But what you've done, what you've built, I couldn't be more proud. And I'm ashamed that I couldn't see it. That I dismissed your achievements because they didn't match my vision for your life. You weren't looking at my achievements, I said. You were looking at your assumptions. There's a difference. How do we fix this? My mother asked. How do we make this right? I thought about that. You start by actually seeing me. Not who you want me to be or who you thought I was, but who I actually am. You start by asking questions instead of making assumptions. And you start by respecting my work. Not because it's successful by your standards, but because it's meaningful to me. Can you forgive us? Uncle Paul asked. Eventually. But it's going to take time. You spent 5 years treating me like I was a disappointment. That doesn't go away overnight just because you found out I'm successful. Fair enough, Jennifer said. Emma, would you tell us about your restaurants? About what you've built? We want to understand. Really understand. So I did. I told them about opening Lunar with a borrowed commercial kitchen and a maxed-out credit card. About the 18-hour days, the failed dishes, the constant refinement. About earning that first Michelin star and crying in the walk-in freezer because it meant everything I'd sacrificed had been worth it. I told them about expanding, about the terror and excitement of opening a second location, then a third. About building a team I could trust, about mentoring young chefs, about the responsibility of maintaining standards across multiple kitchens. I told them about the failures too. The dishes that didn't work, the concepts that fell flat, the reviews that stung. About the pressure of maintaining 3 Michelin stars, of living up to expectations, of constantly innovating in an industry that moves at lightning speed. They listened. Really listened this time. Asked questions. Tried to understand. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase 5 years of dismissal. But it was a start. As I was leaving, my mother hugged me tightly. I'm so proud of you, Emma. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. What you've built is extraordinary. Thanks, Mom. One more question, Derek said as I was heading to my car. That standing ovation you gave on the show. The contestants started crying. Does that happen a lot? I smiled. Only when someone earns it. Excellence deserves recognition. Always. I drove back to New York that night thinking about assumptions and perceptions, about the stories families tell themselves. About how easy it is to miss what's right in front of you when you've already decided what you're looking at. My phone rang. Marcus, my executive producer. Emma, the ratings are in. The finale was the highest-rated episode in MasterChef history. 15.3 million viewers. The network wants you back for next season. Full-time judge. Top billing. They're offering a development deal for your own show too. Let me think about it. Think fast. Every network in town is going to come calling after those numbers. Emma, you're not just a great chef anymore. You're a star. I hung up and kept driving, the Manhattan skyline appearing in the distance. My phone buzzed with messages. From my restaurant managers, from my publicist, from colleagues in the industry. And one text from Jennifer. Just made a reservation at Lunar. 6 months from now, but I'm willing to wait. I want to understand what all the fuss is about. Nema, I want to see what you've built. I smiled and texted back, I'll make sure you get the chef's table. Welcome to my world. Because that's what this was. My world. Built from nothing, created through relentless work and unwavering standards. A world my family had never bothered to see. But now they were looking. And maybe, finally, they were beginning to understand.